We all need to give ourselves a little bit of a calisthenic reset. So feel free to do so. And we've still got some people joining us. So this is great. While we're letting a few more people filter in, I'm going to go ahead and just set the stage. So first of all, again, thank you for joining us today. We're going to spend exactly the next hour together learning about some of the challenges in the industrial sales marketplace and how we can solve those challenges with not only the right tools, but the right strategies for using those tools. So we're very excited to have you joining us for Supercharging Industrial Sales with HubSpot. A little bit about your presenters. My name's Doug Wendt. I'm hosting today's program. I'm honored to do so. I am the President and Chief Growth Officer of Wendt Partners. I'm speaking to you from the great borough of Queens in the city of New York. And we are a longtime HubSpot partner and thrilled to be hosting today's program for our clients, our friends, our partners, as well as other people who are interested in this challenging topic. I am joined by two of the lead players on the HubSpot team. First of all, Carl Ferreira and his colleague, Chris Moore. Carl, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're joining us from today.
Doug, thanks for having me. Pumped to be here. Joining everyone from Nashville, Tennessee. Been at HubSpot coming up on a year now. Love helping companies to optimize their entire revenue process and strategy. So excited to be chatting and hanging out here today.
Awesome. And you are joined by a fellow colleague from the great city of Nashville, are you not?
Yes. Indeed.
All right. Mr. Moore, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself as well? Chris Moore from
Chris
HubSpot.
Moore, good to meet everybody. For those of you that I don't know, I know it looks like I'm in Texas, the way I'm repping Texas quite hard in the background, but I am in Nashville. I've been with HubSpot for a few years. Prior to HubSpot, started an agency and did a lot of the same things that Doug is doing today. And then I worked with Dell for a long time. So I know a couple of folks on here from Dell. Shout out to Dell. But yeah, good to meet everybody and looking forward to the next 55 minutes.
Sweet. Thank you, Chris. By the way, I did half my undergraduate career at Baylor University in Waco, Texas. So I will forgive you for being a Longhorn fan, but that's only because we're colleagues in the HubSpot universe. So a couple of housekeeping items as we get started here for all of you joining us. Number one, we are recording this program. So just be aware of that. And we will be sharing the recording link from Zoom with each of you. We will also be publishing a copy of this on social media. Time permitting, we'll be looking forward to answering your questions. To submit a question, please use the Q&A link at the bottom of your Zoom interface window. And number three, HubSpot is very generous to offer free demo accounts so you can start to learn about the product. We'll make sure that you have a chance to experience HubSpot for yourself with a free demo link that you'll be able to use after today's program. So with that, let's dig into supercharging industrial sales with HubSpot. To do this, I'm going to set the stage. Then Carl's going to walk us through some of the details, and Chris and I are going to trade off showcasing some of the tools that we have available to help. In order to do that, we're going to work with a fictional individual who's based on a lot of friends that I know from my world in industrial sales. I actually spent almost 20 years in the industrial marketplace, both on the industrial technology side and on the shop floor. And so we're going to talk about a gentleman named John and the company he works for. Once we get that in place, we're going to take a few moments and set the stage for what John needs to do to be successful leading his industrial sales team. Then we're going to showcase how HubSpot helps John and his team and conclude with how HubSpot can help you. So to do that, let's take a moment and get to know John, who's going to join us on this journey. Our good friend, the famous world-class Mr. John Doe. John is the senior sales manager for TCI, which, as you'll learn in a moment, is a small, mid-sized industrial company. He's responsible for the field rep team. He also has his own territory, like a lot of sales leaders, both a leader and a doer. He manages business relationships from personal commitment. John's been doing this a long time. He is a handshake, seal a deal over a meal, break bread kind of individual. And his character and his bond, his word is his bond. He prefers doing business with a handshake. He works for TCI, Test Company Inc. So we've got John Doe and his famous company, Test Company Inc. Test Company Inc. is an injection molding firm. It was founded by a family. It's now grown to have a number of partners. It's a great company. They're really known in a very competitive market for turnaround and responsiveness. They have a really tight-knit core team. And in a year like this, they're very relieved that they have a diversified customer base. So they're doing okay, despite a very challenging year for all of us. But John is really frustrated. Why? He's frustrated, of course, because in this environment, he's had to change how he sells. He's a little unsure of how to guide his team in this new environment, but he's also not really organized in a way that makes the digital world possible for him. John has, he knows all about ERP software. He knows about manufacturing planning and work orders, but the last thing he has ever been able to find is tools for his industrial world that work for his sales team. As he once said, I feel like the software that I've seen that's supposed to help my sales team feels more like sales administration rather than sales acceleration. So he needs to get his team organized and running on all thrusters. And to do that, we're going to look at 7 elements of what John needs to accomplish. And you could really organize this around the job description of any sales leader or sales VP or director in an industrial company. So 7 steps. Number 1, he needs to get organized. Number 2, he needs to stay in touch, and he needs his reps to stay in touch with their relationships. Number 3, he and his team need to ask for every opportunity they can find with current prospects, with past prospects who previously disappeared or didn't buy, current customers, prior customers, partners, anywhere they can dig up a deal, they need to be able to surface it and act on it. And that's what it means to then take step 4 and sell proactively. And then in addition, while they're doing all that work, they also need to educate and market. Injection molding, like a lot of industrial sectors, it's both very technologically sophisticated and at the same time, very competitive field. There are a lot of people who are claiming to offer the same quality and turnaround as a company like TCI, even if they can't deliver it. The only way to maintain differentiation is to educate and market. On top of that, John needs to get information. He needs to get information from their ERP system to show where orders are in the production process. He needs to know whether or not the configurator is generating the right quotes. He needs to make sure they're making money on the jobs they're bringing in. And he needs to lead and manage his team. He needs to keep everyone moving in the right direction and moving effectively as one unit. 7 very demanding responsibilities on the shoulders of one person running an industrial sales team. And we want to figure out how we can help John get the job done. So to do that, I'm going to just take a few moments and set the stage. And I know Carl and Chris, you guys are familiar with this. We've talked about this many times. To set the stage, he needs to have an understanding of what all is involved. And what I'm going to introduce is a concept that stacks some key pieces together. So there are 2 pieces that are really outside of John's direct responsibility, but I know that they're important to him because I've talked with many people in his position. The first is the owners of the injection molding business, these industrial business owners, they need to have a clear business strategy. What markets we're going to serve, what kind of jobs we're going to do, how to optimize their machines and their engineering expertise to meet the needs of the right kind of customers. So they need to have a clear strategy for the market, and then they have to translate that into a clear strategy for their brand. The last thing that a company like TCI can afford to do is be perceived as just another player in a sea of the same. They're not. Their expertise, their equipment, their engineering, their manufacturing quality, all those pieces together set them apart. They need to tell that story through an effective brand. So 2 strategic components, business strategy and brand strategy. Those are supported by 3 critical pieces in the middle, which everyone will recognize as inside John's wheelhouse. The first is customer relationship management. The second is sales. And of course, the third is marketing. These 3 pieces fit alongside the strategy components. So this is the strategy side of the equation, and we call these the execution components. When you put all this together, We call this the growth stack. And if there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's an understanding that the tool we're about to showcase is a platform that's designed around the growth stack model. HubSpot is actually the growth stack in a software platform. Chris, did you want to add any color commentary on that?
I just want to say this is a beautiful thing. I love this image right here. It's pretty familiar. We have our own, so I'm excited to get into this.
Awesome. Awesome. Carl, anything to add before we dig in to how to help John solve all of his challenges with a growth stack approach?
I do not. Let's jump in.
Let's do it. So now step 3, let's talk about how HubSpot is going to help John and help John's team. So to do that, let's reiterate John's plan of action. So Carl, why don't you walk us through again the 7 steps, and then we're going to dig in to how we work with each step for John.
Yep. So John starts, he needs to get organized. He needs to stay in touch, manage those relationships. He needs to be able to ask for those opportunities, open up sales conversations. He needs to be able to sell proactively, not just reacting to things that maybe come inbound or a current existing relationship that comes back to buy again. Who are our competitors' best accounts, right? Can we open up conversations with them and be proactive instead of waiting, instead of farming versus hunting? Step 5, can we educate and market? In the industrial sectors, a lot of complicated products, right, being sold. Can we educate and tell that brand story as to why our products are not only superior, but how they solve problems in superior ways, right? Superior solutions. So it's that story piece. Connecting and customizing, right? Every customer, every prospect is different. Can we drop the right message at the right time, in the right channel? And can we see the 30,000-foot view, right? Can we understand holistically what's working and not working, which will inform changes, tweaks, and evolutions to our business strategy now and our brand strategy, right? That growth stack is not just about technology and logging activities and understanding call notes and emails. It's really about getting the insights that you need to inform and continue to tweak and track and iterate and improve the business strategy and the brand strategy. It's all connected.
Awesome.
Amen.
Yes. So let's dig into step 1. Carl, set the stage for us on step 1, and then Chris is going to show us how it's going to be done.
Yeah, organize. I mean, this is such a key piece, right? I work with a lot of manufacturers and CEOs and sales teams in the industrial sector. And the biggest thing that usually jumps out to me in the very beginning is just like disorganization, right? You've got some data in an ERP, you've got some data in a CSV, you've got most of the data in the sales reps' phones and Outlook contacts area. You know, you've got Excel files here. Maybe you've got an older CRM, right? So
yes,
in order to understand what's working and not working and understand our customers, we've got to begin to consolidate and bring together this data and get it organized so we can take action on it.
Awesome. And with that, let's hand the baton over to Chris, who's going to show us how to dig in and get organized. Thanks,
Let's do
Carl.
this. Thank you,
All
Carl.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody see my screen? Can you see my screen, Doug?
Yep.
Yep. It looks
Good?
great.
Okay. So as we come into HubSpot, this is what we're looking at right here. This is HubSpot. This is a SaaS application, so accessible anywhere. If you're not familiar with CRMs and how they work, I always like to start here with a contact view because this is really a centralized place for all of the contacts to live. We can come in here and we can import all of our contacts out of day one from other systems through a CSV or an Excel file. And everything just kind of comes in here. And now we have a list of all of our contacts. We can start to carve up those contacts with filters and determine who we want to attack first and go after that kind of stuff when they're last contacted. But I really like these views. And when you save these views up top, you can really dial in each day and be really intentional on who you're going to reach out to and talk to. As we drill a little bit into, this is an overall view. As we drill into a specific contact
Chris,
record.
Before you flip, can I say one thing about that view, if that's okay?
Yeah. Go for it, Carl. Let's do it.
Another thing that I really love, right? HubSpot uses HubSpot, right? It'd be weird if we didn't. But what I love about this view is it allows me as a seller to surface insights quickly and close the gap between insights and action, right? So you can see this isn't just about a list, but you can see these columns, which are all completely configurable. I can see when I last contacted, I can filter, who have I not talked to in the last 30 days. I can drill down into only contacts that I own, only contacts that have open opportunities. So any bit of data, and you can see it's super easy to use, any bit of data, I can minimize and bring up a list and really hone in on who do I want to focus on today and take action right then on those. Chris, real quick, we'll probably get to this later, so I'm getting ahead. Go to the far left and click the checkbox to highlight all the checkboxes.
Awesome.
Right? And then I click create tasks right there. So like very, very quickly, I see insights. I identify who I want to work on today in my time block. I can be very efficient in my outreach, whether I'm following up with cold prospects or prospecting at all, or maybe I'm following up with people that have open opportunities and I'm nurturing that sales process. So again, insights and action, closing that gap. So there's minimal waste, and your sales reps and sellers can get to the data they need and take action on what they need to do and spend more time in conversations that open, advance, or close opportunities.
And
Sorry,
Carl,
back
no,
to you,
you're
Chris.
great. I'm going to add something to this,
that's good.
Carl. Right along these lines, we literally just finished implementing a manufacturing company in central Pennsylvania. They make equipment for rebar manufacturing. So it's an equipment company selling to other manufacturers and contractors. And we use the filtered views function that Chris is showing to be able to give their reps information on their territories, their key accounts, the companies that currently have open orders, the companies that they're working, their most important channel relationships. And so what Chris is showing is, let's suppose we have a new product offering coming out and it's specifically a best fit for our contractor clients as opposed to, let's say, our construction management clients. We can quickly come up with that filtered view, find everyone in my territory who meets that criteria, and I can set a task to follow up with those people individually and give them a heads up about our new offering. That's the kind of stuff that if I can do that in a few minutes and be highly precise, I can really start to surface sales opportunities that otherwise I wouldn't see. So,
and Doug,
Chris, yeah,
I'm
go
going to
for
add
it.
one more thing even
Absolutely.
to that, right?
Yes.
Because we're only talking about sales, but within a growth stack, there's alignment between marketing, sales, and customer success. So not only is this useful for a seller, this is now useful for a marketing team and say, cool, we have all these customers that have this product and we want to put this new product release because they'd be a good fit for it. Let's invite them all to a webinar. So this data is now accessible to every vertical. So you tear down those silos between these departments and make things simple for that 365-degree view, which Chris is going to walk us through now.
Absolutely. That whole idea of industry segmentation, being able to do that on both the marketing side and the sales side and have everyone working with the same record. You know, that's the last thing I'll mention before we hand it back to poor Chris, is that if I'm in the marketing department, I see the exact same record. I'm looking at the same information in the same way as the sales department. There's no, gee, we have this list. How did you get that list? It is one single source of truth, which allows us to be accurate and precise with things like vertical market targeting. Awesome.
Yeah, and
Doug, think about it. And Doug, think about it. It's not just, we can go all day, right?
I know, right?
It's also not just about streamlining our internal processes, because you just painted a picture of a frictionless experience for our customers as well. There's no more lobbing the ball over the wall to sales that doesn't really know what marketing's been doing. And then again, once I close a deal, there's no lob of the customer, right, over the wall to customer success. It's for the customer, it's really nice. It's frictionless. Wow, everybody here at TCI knows I don't have to continue to repeat myself. They know about me. They understand my business. And that just, again, more points, right, for customer success and customer delight.
Absolutely.
I love it. We need to do like a side webinar just on this alone. Y'all were in the zone.
I think this is going to become part of a series, Chris.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
needs to be.
Take a few moments and show us what we're looking at, and then we're going to dig into that second step, staying in touch. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say here, so once once we have our list of contacts and we want to drill into one specifically, I just pulled up a specific contact record, and we know it's a contact record because it says that in the top left. We know that when we're on that company record that's tied to that particular contact record, it will say company record up in the top left. And the reason why I point this out is to show that everything is interconnected. It's in one place. It's that one system of record. We can see all of the activity that's taken place with that particular contact or company or deal or ticket, right? Any of these different objects, we can see all of that activity right here on the record. We can start to filter through that activity if we want, or we can leave it all active and we can kind of scroll through here and see what's going on. Now you can email directly out of HubSpot by clicking, email, not note. You can certainly take notes as well, but you can send an email directly out of here, or you can send it through G Suite or Outlook. They do sync up with each other. It's bi-directional, it's automatic. So we get that question a lot. If I send an email out of my Outlook, is it going to show up in HubSpot? Rest assured it will. Not only will it show up there, but it will show tracked and clicked on and all of that good stuff.
Hey, Chris.
And yep.
Want to make sure that we tackle something actually for someone that threw a question at us. So if you'll scroll down, Chris, on the left, far left, yep, you'll see there's an industry property. So what's nice about HubSpot is the core of it is a CRM, right? So there's industry on up, I think a little bit, Chris. Maybe I don't see it.
Oh yeah, here we go.
There it is.
Yep.
There you go.
So you can create any custom properties and customize them fully. Obviously, on the contact record, I can now see what industry this Chris is in. But even more powerfully than that, the marketing team can run a list in a couple of clicks and say, hey, everybody in biotech, everybody in engineering, everybody in AEC, everybody in ag, whatever it is. So definitely one of many data points that's really easy. And that's really just scratching the surface. It can get much, much more granular than that, but it's, an industry filter like that in view to segment your marketing, your sales, maybe even dividing up territories and dividing up sales teams to tackle certain industries and be specialists. Very, very simple to carve that out and to make those, again, powerful data points to take action on.
Yeah, good call. Good question too.
Beautiful.
If you have other questions too, let us know as we go through this. We love for this to be conversational. If you all haven't picked up on that, that's why we keep kind of jumping in. As opposed to us just talking at you. So yeah, certainly keep the
instead of talking at people, we talk over each other.
We just interrupt each other.
It's all good.
The last thing I just point out before
take a moment on that. You got it.
Because this is pretty nice for a lot of folks. A lot of times people want to connect their sales navigator to HubSpot, and so we have that direct integration. One key call out here, just so it's not a gotcha for you and you go out and go get Sales Navigator, not get the right version, you would need the Teams version of Sales Navigator to connect that to HubSpot. But as long as you have the Teams version, it can connect in and you can start to do, in-mail and all of your kind of cadence that you need to do through Sales Navigator. You can do that directly here on the contact company record. This is really powerful. Go ahead, Doug.
Absolutely. No, I was just going to say I use it every day. And in fact, a lot of people think about Sales Navigator only for identifying and pursuing leads. But the other beauty of this integration is deepening the relationship with your existing contacts. In the typical B2B industrial company, I'll bet you maybe 20 to 30% of your business contacts are connected to at least one person on your team on LinkedIn. We want to try to get that number as high as possible, because then when you communicate updates on LinkedIn, those people are going to see it at the top of their feed, and it gives you another channel for staying in touch, making introductions, and doing the other things that help deepen business relationships, particularly in the industrial world, where in the market sectors that we serve, it's very, very tight. People know each other, so let's build that network. Awesome. Chris, you mind if I take it back? We're going to dig into step 2, staying in touch.
Yep.
Awesome. So Carl, we're going to lean on you again to set the stage. So we had organized, we talked about getting organized and managing our business relationships. Tell us a little bit about this second step here, staying in touch.
Staying in touch, right? So once you're organized and you've got those insights in front of you, you're going to hear me say the word insight in action at least 600 more times today. But once you've got those insights organized, right, you're settled. John is settled. Now we can take action. And taking action from a sales perspective, even from a marketing perspective, means staying in touch, right? It means conversations. There is no more important metric, I believe, in a revenue strategy than to be measuring conversations. How many quality conversations are we having with our prospects and with our customers? And are we having those conversations on their terms and in the channels that they want to have those conversations? So really focusing on buyer-centric and customer-centric communication.
Awesome. So let me take a moment and pop some things up to show you from my HubSpot system. And let's dig into what this looks like in the real world. And in order to do this, I'm actually going to showcase Chris. So I'm glad to point out that Chris and I are in fact connected on LinkedIn. I see that over here to the right. I've got his company, and there's so much that I can do right from here. I can send him an email and it'll integrate with my email system, but I can also send him a specific email based upon a template that will pull in his name, his company, his industry, maybe other information that we've identified that's sales relevant. The other thing that I can do here is actually give him a call. And I'm literally going to do this right now and give Chris a call. So I'm going to call him. This number, by the way, is tied to my cell. I literally just had this conversation yesterday with a client. He said, I am an industrial sales team lead. And, I don't want people to call me back on my office number. I want them to call me back on my cell number. So can I make calls through HubSpot on the web? And the number that goes through the caller ID is my cell. The answer is yes. That's my cell number. When I click to call from HubSpot, it's literally opening up the record right now, and Chris is going to wave his phone when it rings him. And there we go. We're dialing him in. Hey, Chris. Awesome. Look at that. Hey, Chris, how you doing? It's Doug Wendt from Wendt Partners to talk about HubSpot.
I'd like to buy everything.
Awesome. Great. We'll send you a quote. In fact, we're going to show you sending a quote in about 2 minutes.
Fantastic.
Spectacular. Great conversation. Okay. And I'm going to save the call. I can create a task to follow up with him. Let's make this Monday because he's really excited to get started.
Right there too, Doug, quick call out.
Go
Super
for it.
Important. Selecting the outcome of the call and the type of the call, right? So
Absolutely.
Now I can run reports, right? I can look at all of the calls that my sales reps are having. How many discovery calls are they having? How many closing calls? How many outreach calls, right? And it's not laborious for the seller. We got to make it simple for them, right?
Yes.
They check the box. Now management knows not to be micromanaging. Of course, that's not the goal here, but it's insights. Okay. Are our reps having enough quality conversations to fill the pipe to meet revenue goals, right?
You got it.
Those insights.
And in fact, Carl, these call types are tied directly to our sales process. These are our identifiers. So we can customize these around any particular pipeline or environment, and just like you suggested. So awesome. Let me bring it back to the next phase. And again, remember, we're walking through these individual phases of what John needs to do. We said there are 7 phases or 7 steps. The first was get organized. The second was stay in touch. Let's talk about the third. Carl, introduce these.
Asking for the opportunity, right? Now we're having conversations and we're having a good conversation, right? With somebody that's a really good fit. How do we now start to turn that conversation into a sales conversation, which will be a little bit more structured as we go through a process? We're following up. We're proving to our prospect that we are not only awesome at building XYZ product and delivering that to them, but that we're also highly professional and care about our relationships with them. We're available.
Chris, you want to showcase some of the capabilities that are going to help John and his team get that done quickly and efficiently, but with precision?
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome. Carl, thanks for teeing that up.
All right, so we talked a little bit about tasks earlier and how you manage those tasks and keep everything on track. This is actually a new view for us. So if you've ever seen HubSpot before, this might look a little bit different. but we've moved to this, the way of kind of displaying tasks. And I really like this new view because it's pretty clean. You can kind of see, again, Carl's favorite word here on the right. He loves to say the word insights. It's an important thing to know. We'll show you kind of how many calls and meetings are completed for the week and all that. But this task view really helps you stay in line with what you need to do next. And you can roll through these tasks in a very automated way. You can start queues, right? And you can roll through these, one by one. And let me just kind of show you what that might look like. So if I wanted to go through this queue of tasks and stay organized, you'll see here it takes me to the first task that I need to get done. So maybe this is a call, maybe this is an outreach, whatever that is. Once I've completed that, like maybe I'm taking a note and I say, at Carl, please call John tomorrow. He is ready to buy everything. So maybe I make that note and that's done. We've completed that task and now I'm on to the next. So you can see here, it will literally take me into the next thing that I need to get done. So from an organization standpoint, this is key. I know exactly what I need to do step by step. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, and it's
Anything
reduced
to add there,
waste, right? Yeah, it's reduced waste, Chris. Like it's a little granular, I know, probably to the attendees to be like looking at, tasks, but the dream is that as a seller, I sit down every day and I've got time blocks on my calendar. Here's one of the things I see sellers where they go wrong. They're like, I'm going to be super productive this week and I'm going to time block. But that doesn't actually do anything, right? It's like, what am I going to do with I was working with a company last week and they were like, all of our reps are time blocking. We're still not driving enough pipeline.
Right.
And I said, well, what do they do in their time blocks? Oh, well, they're prospecting blocks. I found out there's no prospecting being done, right? They're researching, they're not prepared to execute in those blocks. And that's where something like tasks and being hyper organized, I can now actually squeeze value and productivity out of my time blocks because the right actions are lined up for me to knock out one after another.
So what you just said, Carl, is absolutely real world. One of our clients, another one of our industrial clients, makes healthcare technology integration hardware. And we were literally just having this conversation. And they said that going through and understanding how to use the task queuing process, this automation, the whole point is if I have an hour time blocked, I can't afford to spend 45 minutes of it figuring out what actually to do with that time. Now I sit down for that time block, I click begin task queue and everything is queued up and I go. And combined with the automation, like the instantaneous things, like how long did it take me to find Chris's phone number, dial him up, have the conversation, complete the call, save the notes and set the next step. I didn't even have to think about any of that. I just went to that activity, clicked go, did it, and the rest took care of itself. And that saves reps a huge amount of time.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest call. Like I've used probably 4 or 5 different CRMs in my life, and there's a lot of clicks to get to what you need to do. And I think that's something that we focused on as a business is really reducing that amount of clicks, because at the end of the day, if the business doesn't embrace this CRM, right, and the employees don't adopt it, then you've just wasted money. Right. And that I hear that from clients every day, that they don't get that level of adoption from their team. And the reason being is for those extra clicks. And so that's really what you'll start to see here. I'll loop that into deals, because I know that's part of this. We call opportunities deals within HubSpot. And so when we're in a company or a contact record and we've created that deal, we've added a deal, this is specific to your process. For those of you on the call today, you can have your own pipelines. All of these fields are custom to your process. But once we've created this deal, and we want to track that every month, whether I'm an individual contributor or I'm a sales manager, we need to have a view to track all of those deals. And so we would come in here to sales and then go to deals, and you would see here, I've got the multiple pipelines if we're using that. So if we've got different products or services that we're selling and we want to separate those, keep those in separate pipelines, so we have a cleaner experience, we can do that. And we've got 2 different views that you can see under opportunities as well. So we've got the standard list view, which is kind of the go-to for a lot of folks. You can come in here and update these deals very quickly, change amounts, right, on the fly, be done with that, save that, that deal is updated. That's one way to update deals. The second way is we have a board view. I love the board view because this is a drag and drop. So if I want to move this to this checkout pending, and I want to say this is where the budget is, and you know, this is the time spent, now that deal is updated. So it's drag and drop. The fields that we require, once we drag and drop, can either be there or not be there. So if you want to even remove that extra step, you can. So you can quite literally just drag something into a field and be done. That's it. Done. That's how easy it is to manage deals.
Awesome, Chris. I'm going to take the baton back and set us up for that next step, because we just walked through organize, stay in touch, and ask for new opportunities. So what comes next, Carl?
Selling proactively, right? So we've talked about engaging maybe with current customers in our database. How do we step even deeper into selling proactively, right? Where we've got targets, we've got goals, and we're going out and we're pursuing those.
Awesome.
And how do we do that? By reducing waste, right? As much as possible, focusing our time on those conversations.
You got it. So I'm going to showcase a couple key areas here. And to do that, I'm actually going to show how I use the system. So some of you may be familiar with calendaring, self-scheduling tools. Calendly is probably the biggest product out there in this particular niche, but the trouble is it doesn't connect with anything. What HubSpot has done is pulled all these tools directly into the CRM. So let's, in fact, in my email signatures, I include in my email signature a call to action button for people to schedule a meeting with me. So let's suppose that Chris wants to schedule a meeting with me at 11 a.m. on the 18th for 20 minutes. And I'm actually going to enter his information here. Chris,
and this is configurable, right, Doug? So there was a question that came in about data hygiene. There's so many points throughout a customer journey that you can grab data, and that meeting link is just one where you want to grab their budget, their annual revenue, their industry, right? So it's not this painful data gathering experience. You're grabbing tidbits at the right time, and then you have a fully built out, you know, contact or company record that's got all the data that that you need.
You're nailing it. In fact, I'll give you a real world example. The contact who was actually in here is the CEO of a company that makes specialized impellers for primarily maritime applications. And when he booked his meeting with me, guess what happened? He updated his phone number. So now I have his updated phone number. So him just booking a meeting with me updates the contact record with the most recent information. So now if Chris is my prospect, and he, you know, I wrote to him and said, great, here's my meeting booking link, book the time that works best for you. Here is his meeting. And I've configured all this. It automatically added in the Zoom link because it's Zoom integrated. That's a key feature in the HubSpot system. I've got LinkedIn information in here. And this particular meeting actually does a whole bunch of things. We have a workflow automation that we use at Went Partners. When someone schedules a discovery call, it kicks off a deal, sets it up at the first stage of the pipeline, locks the meeting into the system, and tags the contact record. By the way, if you recall, in here it said channel account manager, now it says CAM. I made that change just to showcase that as Chris updates his information, it feeds into the system and keeps everything clean. You know, we talked about calling earlier, the email example, the notes, the tasks, the meetings. It's all one click right here. The other thing that I'm going to mention, in addition to the meetings tool and the LinkedIn, is the fact that I can actually create a deal right now. And from the deal, I can create a quote. So let me actually pull up an example of a deal here.
Well, and Doug, while you're pulling that up, I just want to say, you know, whenever you built that meeting, you glossed over something that I find to be super, super powerful. You just reduced the time to close, right? You just reduced like an average deal cycle because you used a meeting link right there at a HubSpot, right? So instead of going back and forth, hey, does this time work? Send me some times that work. You know, often in my emails, I'll say, hey, I've got some of these times open. But if you want to find a time that works best for you, here's my calendar. 101% of the time, they book that works for them, right? And I'm
Yes,
now, right, a deal
absolutely.
that traditionally takes 6-9 months to close. All those days that you're saving going back and forth, wasting time, add up and reduce, right, the length of. So little stuff like that matters.
Makes a huge, huge difference.
Huge.
And taking that all the way through, built into HubSpot is a product library and a quoting system. So we can actually, with one click off of a deal, create a customized proposal, set up the expiration date, any specific comments or terms. We can add the buyer information. And if you're familiar with tools like DocuSign, e-signature capability and online payment are all built in here. It's literally click, 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 click. So actually, without having to follow up 15 times and say, did you guys sign the contract? You can have all that information flow right into the deal record. And with the automation in HubSpot, actually move the deal to closed, send the notification, update a report, and send a congratulatory email to the customer thanking them, and ping the onboarding team or the customer support team that a new job has come in.
Well, and make the finance team happy, because as we know, HubSpot has a wide open API and a bunch of integrations. So if you want to create a sales order in your ERP, we've got integrations with popular NetSuite, things like that. We've even built out custom integrations that are possible with more legacy ERPs like global shop systems and things like that. So it's not only that everything needs to live in HubSpot, it's also flexible enough and open enough to be able to bring in the tools that you're using now that you maybe can't get rid of today.
Absolutely. Carl, if you don't mind, let me take this one and I'm going to hand it to Chris for the demo piece.
Do it.
So educate and market. This is an area that a lot of people really struggle with. They're so busy following up on stuff, they're not getting proactive opportunities to communicate. We have a tool called Sequences, which I love to use. In fact, we literally just ran it for a re-engagement campaign. True story from Went Partners. This past weekend, I went through all of the opportunities over the last year that we closed lost. Okay. And we use a process we call the op drop review, where we determine, do you think there's an opportunity to bring this op back to the table? We separated in those two categories. Then we ran a sequence, which Chris, if you don't mind showing us a sequence here. We ran the sequence, which is a combination of emails, tasks, phone calls, maybe LinkedIn, and we got 6 deals back into the pipeline. Chris, take it away. Show us how sequences can help reps surface and re-engage relationships to generate business.
Yep. So you can see you can do this from your email client. Again, works in Office and Gmail the same way. We just happen to have G Suite. You can also do this out of the CRM. So to each his own on which direction you want to go. But if I come over here and I send an email to someone to enroll them in a sequence, it might look something like this. So that first email might go out, right, and have that template essentially is what it is. And then we might build a task in between to follow up with that person, because we know that just sending out 4 emails a week apart, that's probably not the best strategy. There really needs to be an email, then a call, then an email, then a call. Maybe it's 2 emails and a call, but at the end of the day, you need to be really kind of building some calls in there so you can try to get people on the phone. I know that everybody thinks the phone is dead. It's not dead. It's far from dead.
Absolutely. It's far from dead.
I think all 3 of us on this webinar love the phone, probably
Yes.
maybe even a little bit too much. Anyways, so
nailed it, Chris. Right on.
The idea is to set this and forget it so that you can focus and be efficient with your time in other areas. So we're sending this sequence out, whether it's to one person or multiple people, and that's working for us while we're focusing on other efforts. And so you can build these 8 long, so you can have an email task 8 long if you want. It could be 5 long. There is a max to that, but the idea here is to be, efficient with your time. The other thing I wanted to show you, go ahead, Doug.
No, Chris, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yep, I was just going to talk a little bit about templates as well. I know you wanted to highlight that a little bit, cart before the horse. A lot of times when you're doing that outreach, right, you're educating people, you want to be able to move quickly. And when I started at HubSpot, I kind of fought this myself, just a personal story. I really fought this, and I didn't want to take the time to on the weekends to create these templates, because I'm like, gosh, it's going to take forever. Gosh, I wish I could have rolled the clock back and done it all over again, because probably for the first 8 months I lost a lot of time because I didn't implement these templates right out of the gate. So now what it looks like is when I'm done with a call, or when you're done with a call in the industrial space, you might want to have a follow-up email that looks something like this, or maybe it looks, something like this, right? So we've got all kinds of different ways. Sorry for the, got a little off there with, there we go. So it might look something like this, right? And I might want to put a video in here as a follow-up, because I want to, not only do I want to educate them, but I want to make that personal connection, because remember, we're not out shaking hands and playing golf and all of the things that we used to be able to do, but we still need to have that personal connection. So I might on the fly very quickly record a video very quickly. That's just like, hey, thanks for the time today, yada, yada, yada. Here are the links, yada, 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 whatever you want to put in that video. And now we're done. And now we put that video right there in the email on the fly, that easily, 60 to 90 seconds, we have that personal connection. This right here is a game changer. This will increase open rates. You can explain an email very quickly. Having that personal touch is super powerful. And you'll see here, everything is static. So I might come in here and I might change these next steps to be custom, but all of this is static. We can include things like documents and links, all trackable. Every time someone opens these things, we know about it, very big brother-like, but we know about this. So this is very powerful. This is called templates. And sequences are just a series of templates in a lot of cases. That's basically what it is.
Awesome.
Ahead, Doug. You want to say
Yeah,
something?
no, I'm going to go ahead and while I switch back to the next step, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that point. The key thing that's hard to express, and all I can do is kind of just verbalize it, is the power of bringing this all together. We have a client on the West Coast, again, another industrial company. They had a virtual version of a trade show 3 weeks ago. The trade show company took the better part of a month to get the leads to them that they had paid untold sums for. So now the question is what to do. We set them up with a sequence. We included Hubspot sales documents, video, and that meeting booking link. The beauty of having it all on one platform is the way sequences work in the HubSpot system is that if a person replies back to you or clicks to book a meeting with you, then the sequence stops because the HubSpot system knows that you've achieved your goal, which is to get that person to set aside time to communicate with you. That would not be possible if you were doing all this in different tools. So now literally that rep, and I was actually on the phone with him last night doing training, he's already started to get meetings booked and people responding. And this was after a 3-week delay in getting those leads in and in not being really clear on what to do to try to overcome that time barrier. That's the power of having it all in one place. So Carl,
Well, I mean, not only that, Doug, I'll say too, like, not only that, like, those are all amazing points, but like their competitors got that same list that they purchased. And guess what? They're still fumbling around with it.
yes.
What do I do with this? And your customer is taking action. Guess who's going to win most of that business? Right?
Absolutely.
Why? Because they're reducing weight. And so it's better for rep. It's better for customer. We buy from the people who engage with us, right? It's speed to lead. There's all kinds of studies that show that the first company that responds to a demo request or an inquiry or whatever it is, it's like 60 or 70% chance that they win the business. So
right on, Carl. And I'm actually going to add one point, and then Carl, let's go ahead and do these next two segments together because I know that we've got about 10 minutes left. So I just want to point out that our motto at Went Partners is being at the table is half of winning the deal. And it is absolutely true because your competitors will find every excuse not to close that deal. Okay. If they win, it's like you're just giving them business. Let's take that business from the competitor. Let them fumble around and have an internal debate about whether inside sales, outside sales, or marketing should follow up with the leads. Let's send something in the mail and wait a month. Let's, not be clear on what our strategy is. No, get the leads, get them into the flow, get action, get meetings, get business. That's what wins,
Conversations.
particularly today. You got it, Carl. Conversation. So let's talk about these 2, 6, and 7, connected, customize, and lead and manage. Carl, go for it.
Yeah, so we're zooming out a little bit, right? We've been talking a little more granular, right? We've kind of like landed the plane before we took off, but we were talking 10,000 foot view. And that's great. Our sales reps now with HubSpot are going to be a lot more productive. So is our marketing team. So our success people that are handling service tickets, things like that. But now zooming out, can we understand what's working and not working? If we have a really full pipe, and we've got a lot of money coming our way in the next quarter, can we start to look at R&D, right? So this changes like the business strategy piece, right? Can we take these insights and can we improve the business, right? Like we've got a lot of money coming in, right? Forecast, so important. Like again, R&D, maybe it's time to hire. Do we have enough support on the customer success end to handle all this business? We can tackle these problems before, right, they become problems, again, delighting our customers.
Absolutely. And then just mention a couple of these points because I'm actually going to take responsibility for talking about them both so that we have time for some questions. Go ahead.
Yep. So same thing, right? Zooming out, can we help our reps now be more productive? We've really ironed out our revenue process. We filled in the potholes. We're starting to get our revenue flywheel. I'm surprised that this is the first time that the word flywheel has been said today in this, but it's now spinning, right? Our process is pretty frictionless. Like we're a well-oiled machine. Now, what can we do? We can start to dream bigger. How do we go from 50 million to 100 million? We wouldn't even have that kind of dream, right? Before HubSpot and before we ironed out our process. So now can we continue to take it to the next level and affect, again, our business strategy in a positive direction.
Awesome. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that I think are really keys to that. And while I do that, I just want to let people know we are going to talk about some of the Q&A that's come in. So thank you for sharing your questions. So we're actually looking at my deal pipeline. And what I love about HubSpot is that we've got so many different ways to instantly answer questions. So I can see my deals that are 50% or more likely to happen, less than 50% based on weighted information that are on my close list for the next 60 days, close list beyond 60 days. The reporting tools in here are unbelievable. And something that I love is our playbooks tool. So we actually use playbooks very aggressively with our team. It's like having a built-in sales trainer and sales process. We can actually set up the questions we want to have answered at each step and have that information captured in the database. The other thing that I think is really important in the industrial market is the fact that we can connect with ERP systems. We have a really robust partnership with a number of leading ERP companies. And something that we're actually working with a number of our industrial clients on is the power of custom objects. So we have custom objects capability at the enterprise level of the platform. And that allows us, for example, in my database, we have 2 custom objects, one for projects and one for onboarding. But for clients, we're setting up custom objects for things like channel partners. Okay, or things like our service team. And we haven't even touched upon service capability in the platform because today's focus is on the sales team. But the bottom line is we've got the right tools to make an industrial sales team successful. We wanted to quickly mention the importance of being able to manage target account capability. We actually have a special module just to give your team information on target accounts. We have a special capability just around forecasting. So when the sales team is trying to get the job done, John, the sales manager, is on top of it. So with that in mind, let me come back and let's dig into some of the Q&A here as we come to our close. In order to conclude with that, let me address one question that came up, which was the importance of really getting on top of data quality. one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is teaching our clients how to manage data quality to keep your database clean. And in fact, HubSpot has a really powerful built-in duplicate analysis tool. Every 2 weeks, I get a report telling me what the system has identified as likely duplicates, and we can run and fix those and keep those clean. We use that capability. We also have data synchronization. So for example, like you saw with Chris, if he updates his information in any kind of a web form, that information goes right into the CRM. So let's talk a little bit about service and support. Carl, tell us a little bit about what the service and support experience is like with HubSpot.
Yeah, Doug, thanks. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's stellar. One of the things that attracted me to HubSpot as an employee was I was a HubSpot customer before, a very large HubSpot customer. And as a seller, I was always like, if I needed help, I would like chat. And I was shocked. Like you could chat with somebody instantly. I mean, it was so good. And what's even more shocking is that chat and email support is actually available in our starter tiers. I mean, you guys could get started today for $50 in our starter tiers, extremely affordable. And then as you upgrade to our pro tiers or our enterprise tiers, you also gain access to phone support. What's even more important, I think, than that, it's awesome to have a human, but whenever you're partnered with somebody like Doug, you have access to them. Also, we're not the type of sales organization that will lob you over the fence to success and you'll never hear from your seller again. I still keep in close contact with each of the customers that I've sold and often field support issues. I have customers that text me. The next thing and final thing I'll say is our knowledge base. It is ridiculous how much is written in our knowledge base. I find that a lot of customers, they don't want to call and wait. They don't want to chat. They don't want to talk to somebody. They want to pull up an article, get help immediately right there without having to pick up the phone. And our knowledge base is just ridiculously expansive. It's got hundreds of thousands of articles written on literally anything, and answer any questions that you would have. It's really nice. It's searchable. It's actually sellable. You guys could even have a knowledge base and replicate that using the HubSpot software as well, which is a story for another day.
Absolutely, Carl. And I just want to say, you know, as a HubSpot partner, one of our market areas of focus is the industrial sector. At Went Partners, we've been a HubSpot partner for almost a decade. I actually came from the ERP software industry in the industrial market. I worked for a company that's now part of Infor that we sold into discrete and hybrid manufacturing environments. And I traveled all over the country, all over North America, helping manufacturers tie these pieces together. And so we're really excited. You've got an A team here. So we'll follow up with the recording link to the program. You'll be receiving a follow-up from me after the weekend asking for your insights, what you liked, what you wanted to learn more about from today's program. And we just want to say thank you so much for your time today. So closing reminders, you will receive the recording from today's program to review and share with others. You will also receive instructions to set up your own free demo account. And we want to conclude by saying thank you on behalf of Went Partners and the team at HubSpot. Chris, Carl, thank you guys for a spectacular job giving a very detailed and intensive overview of how HubSpot can supercharge. And I think literally that's the key word, supercharge industrial sales teams. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks,
Y'all
everyone.
take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everybody have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for joining us today for Supercharging Industrial Sales with HubSpot. Bye-bye now.